Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Chris Lloyd. I'm here to talk to you about Tulane School of Professional Advancement, specifically our digital design program. We're going to be covering a lot of content today, so I want to go over our agenda very briefly so that you have an idea of what to expect. If you have questions or any topics that come up while we're doing this session, make sure to use that chat or Q&A function. We're going to talk about who we are. That's going to be a little bit about the history of Tulane SOPA, Tulane itself, and then we'll move into the specifics about the digital design program, how we support student success, and then those actual logistical pieces of how to apply and cost of attendance. The Q&A section will be built in at the end of this, but if anything comes up and is relevant to the topic we're on, I will definitely make sure to cover it. Typically, we'd be joined by Dr. Amanda Garcia today, but I'm sure those of you in the New Orleans area have been seeing that everyone is sick right now because of these rapid changes in weather. So unfortunately, Dr. Garcia cannot join us today. She is our program director and the professor of practice here at SOPA. So Dr. Garcia has worked previously in a marketing function. She also has degrees in higher education, as well as an MFA in graduate design. So she's got quite a lot of varied backgrounds, but the key theme that's really tied it all together is digital design, specifically graphic design and visual communication. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of her program offerings and the core content of the programs. Those of you who actually joined me for one of these sessions before, you've seen me quite a bit, but my name is Chris Lloyd. I'm an admissions associate here at Tulane SOPA. So whether you're someone where you're still evaluating, whether you've started that application, or whether you've already gotten admission, I'm going to be a great first point of contact for you. I can help you to figure out who's going to be your advisor and connect you to all of those relevant resources. Or if you're in that evaluation stage, I can really help you to figure out who's the program director you're going to want to talk to, who are the people who are going to be able to give you that information that you really need right now as part of that evaluation process. Tulane University was founded in 1834 as the Medical College of Louisiana, and then in 1886 you had the first continuing education classes offered. If you're looking at the continuing education classes as the genesis of SOPA, then that gives us over 130 years of a demonstrated commitment to adult learners. If we were our own independent university, we would be one of the oldest universities in the Southeast with a commitment on adult learners. The school was initially founded as a way to give outreach to the people within the community and offer them courses and really be able to expand the pool of talent that you have here locally. And we actually rebranded just a couple of years ago in order to double down on that commitment. So when we rebranded as Tulane SOPA, one of the big pushes that we made was making sure that all of our programs that we offer are directly reflective of the content that is expected when you go out into the workforce, as well as adding programs that are really focused on emerging fields of work. And one of those is digital design. You know, digital design is really a skill, and so it is a craft or artisan skill. So you really have to learn the trade in order to get into the field and the industry. And I think that we do a really wonderful job of helping you guys to really get your footing there. And I think that's a big part of all of our program offerings here, you know, that student support piece. So with the 2017 relaunch, you have the launch of fully online master's degrees, as well as bachelor's degree programs that can be completed in combination between on-campus and online. We're really growing that online presence. Right now, the majority of your bachelor's can be completed online. Digital design courses, you are going to be taking those primarily in person. We're launching more digital design classes that are going to be online, but because of the nature of the workflow and the type of skill development that you're doing, you really want that in-classroom experience where you have the lab and you have access to your peers and to faculty who can help you develop those skills. I talked briefly about this a moment ago, but the big shift towards online learning means that we have a blending of that combination of online and on campus. So your online courses may be some of those 2,000 or 3,000 level electives that you're taking, and those online courses may be those in-person courses would be things like your core classes and then those lab-based classes for digital design. With any of those in-person classes, it's going to be daytime, nighttime, or weekend. So weekend will be a Saturday morning. Nighttime, typical class starts at 6 p.m., runs till 8:50 p.m. You're meeting once per week, unless it's the summer where you have more meetings. And then with daytime classes, that's traditional daytime classes. So just like what you would see with any other school here on campus, where we offer them from the morning until the evening when we switch over to having evening classes. To go into a little bit of depth about the digital design program, I think I need to explain a little bit about what our the general thematic elements are of the program. And one of those is that we're really aiming to bridge that gap between art and technology. So a lot of the training and experience that you're getting here is going to be a blending of emerging technology as well as some of these tried and true industry practices. So you will be getting these fundamental skills that are important to digital design, graphic design, game art and animation, interactive design. And those are going to be paired with these emerging technologies to where you're using programs that are actually what is used in the field. So you're going to be doing Maya, ZBrush, all of these different technologies in order to reach your end goal, whatever program you're in. And what our goal here is for us is we want to build a professional design portfolio for you. We want our students to walk out of here with something that really is a great selling point for their work. So along the way, you'll be doing what's called a review. So you have a lower level and upper level review as part of your bachelor's program. And what that does is it ensures that you've actually understood and mastered the content before you move on to that next level. So you're getting really active checks and feedback from professors and faculty who work in the industry. And what that means is you're really able to start tailoring your portfolio so that by the time you go out into the job market, and this is a very highly competitive job market, but once you go out into there, that you really have a mastery and proficiency that you're able to demonstrate, and that portfolio is the best example of your work. We've got 3 distinct tracks within our digital design program. The first is that graphic design track. So that's going to be that really traditional track to where you're doing branding, print design, you're looking at typography, some web design, and interactive and packaging design. And with that, you're going to be taking some foundational courses and then branching out and learning these different skills within it. So like the typography piece, interactive design, as well as 2D and 3D art, and then letterpress, where you're actually working with a full-scale letterpress machine. So it gives you a really great opportunity, whether you're focused on that digital space or whether you're focused on that physical space. It's going to be less of that fine arts element and more of the trade skills, to where you're really learning and mastering these different programs and different skills. With game art and animation, this is really focused on not so much the actual game engine as much as it is focused on visual storytelling, animation, sculpting, game art development. So you're creating the visual aesthetics for these games and less so doing the programming and actual creation of these worlds. So within that, you've got the 3D sculpting, environmental modeling, things like character modeling, as well as like world building, lighting, all these different things that are able to make the visual statements and actually create that visual identity for the game. And then the back end coding is more of, that's more outside of this realm. Like you're really focused in on that creation of character models, that creation of the visual identity of the games. And then with the interactive design track, you've got a little bit of blending of the graphic design track as well. It's really focused on that user experience and then user interface design, as well as app design. So for those of you who are heavy social media users, or, you know, like most of us, you have a smartphone, you see that there's a really active community out there that is creating a lot of apps and a lot of the visual ways that we communicate with our devices. And they're really the ones who are setting up that sort of the sort of world that we're interacting with when we're dealing with any of these apps or interfaces out there. And part of that means that you can also really have an impactful role by helping to improve the way that we interact with with these UIs. So, you know, there's plenty of programs and apps and things that you interact with where you're wondering, like, how did this actually get into production? And whether it's you're amazed by the quality of it or you think you can do better, you're going to learn those skills to be able to evaluate, create. You know, you're going to go from that thought genesis all the way to the synthesis and production of these elements. So if you come out here and visit us at Tulane SOPA at our Elmwood campus, you'll be able to see examples of our student art, examples of the apps and UI development that we've done. Our game art and animation room has a really wonderful setup in there where you can see all this student work, get to experience the different programs that they're interacting with. And I think you really see that there's a commitment to ensuring that there's skill development and that there's skill development with active feedback. The active feedback is coming from faculty who are working as adjuncts in this role, and they have a full-time job actually working in these fields of graphic design, of game art and animation, or of interactive design. So the feedback you're getting from them is based in their own experience out in the working world. So you're getting direct preparation for a career from people who actively work in that career. There's not just an academic focus. So you're not going into this with the intent of, I am going to just be a researcher or faculty member in this. This is a program that's designed to facilitate your career aspirations and your skill development. For the Bachelor of Arts, you have to complete 120 credits with a total of 42 of those in the major. So you have a set number of classes that you do have to take and a set listing of classes that have to be fulfilled, but you also have electives within there. So if there is one concentration you really like and another one you want to explore, that's where those elective credits can be used to explore that. So if you're in graphic design, but you really have an interest in game art and animation as well, you can pick up coursework there and it can round out your portfolio. With the post-baccalaureate certificate, this is really focused on undergraduate coursework. So with the post-baccalaureate certificate, you're doing just those 30 or so credits that are in the field. So with that, that means you're not doing core courses, you're not doing your math, your science, and all of that. You've already completed that in a previous bachelor's degree. The post-baccalaureate lets you really dive in and focus just on that specific content that's a part of the degree field. So it's a good way to really add a complementary skill to your existing bachelor's, or it's a way to pivot into a new skill set. So for those of you who maybe don't have experience with digital design, this is a way for you to be able to get that experience. So maybe you're working in the marketing field or you're working in one of those related fields. That's where this is really going to be a +1 for you and is going to give you access to skills that can really give you a wider band of job opportunities. So I've talked a lot about the setup of the program in terms of what the coursework is like. And I think it's also important to talk about how the program is going to support you and really expand your knowledge of the field. And part of that is that we have a big focus in our digital design program on interacting with the community at large. And whether that's the community of Tulane, the community of New Orleans, or that community of graphic designers, we want to make sure that you have opportunities to be able to really engage with this. So part of that means membership in organizations like AIGA, submissions to awards. So recently our students took all but one student award from the Addy Awards, which is the premier advertising awards showcase here in New Orleans. And that's a really, really wonderful example of how our student work is at a high level and is also impactful. Our students were able to get job interviews off of those awards. You know, there's opportunities for you to demonstrate your work to the community and to get recognized for it. We also regularly bring in designers who are within the New Orleans or United States regional market to where you get an opportunity to learn from them. So they may come in and do a demonstration about a specific skill, about their background, about the field. And then you also have things where we bring in people who are part of the industry and they're doing a larger presentation. So one that's really specific to game art and animation is that we recently had 2 members of Epic Games come here and they did a talk for a few hundred students about what Epic Games does. So for those of you who are familiar with them, you recognize that they are one of the biggest game production houses here in the United States and in the world. And they're also responsible for these mega hits like Fortnite. So they're someone where they have a large presence. They have a lot of different opportunities for you to be able to engage with them, whether that's potential internships later or potential hiring. So getting to see these people early on and get to see their presentations and interact with them and be able to build that network is going to be really useful for you. So, when these industry rock stars or these designers come in and they're able to see your work, or you're able to get that interaction with them, then that's where it's going to be really powerful for you, because you're already getting a foot in the door. To pivot a little bit and talk about SOPA itself, I want to highlight the student support and success mechanisms that we have in place here. I think we've got a really wonderful structure built here. And part of it is this confluence of our academic advising, our career advising, and then our faculty advising. So the academic advisors are extremely accessible. I went to a large state school where I would have to schedule weeks in advance, and often my advisor would be reviewing my educational history or my academic history while I'm sitting there in front of them. Clearly that they didn't have that knowledge ahead of time. They weren't personalizing this towards me until I got there. That's not the experience you have at SOPA. I regularly see people come in where they don't have an appointment. They're just dropping in for advising, and they're able to get real meaningful advising, or to where they're able to schedule only a day or two out, or even that day. And they're able to interact with their advisor via things like this Zoom teleconferencing platform. They're able to meet them in person at Uptown or Elmwood. They're able to do phone calls, emails. So no matter what schedule you're on, there's a way to interact with your advisor and get real meaningful advice that's been tailored to you. And then when you pair that with the career advising we have here, I think that's where you really can learn to sell yourself and use those academic skills that you've learned as part of that portfolio that you're presenting to employers. So Ms. Cynthia Washington is a dedicated career services for us here at Tulane SOPA. You'll regularly see her hosting LinkedIn learning events, or events where she teaches you how to interview, how to write your resume. And then before you graduate, you meet with her so that you can get an opportunity to find out what job opportunities are out there. What are the career postings you have access to? How can I tap into your network of Tulane alumni and be able to really get that value out of my education? So that placement piece is going to be really important. And that's where Cynthia does an amazing job of working with our students and helping them to feel supported. I talked a little bit earlier about the role that our faculty play. We have a large adjunct faculty, and what that means is that they're people working in the industry. You don't just have an academic perspective. We do have professors here like Dr. Garcia, who they do work in a parallel industry, but their primary role is a professor and program director. Whereas, her support, the rest of our staff and faculty, they're drawn from people who are actively working in that role. So the people teaching our game art and animation courses, people teaching our modeling and sculpting classes for them, that's what they're doing full time. So the advice that they're giving you, the direction and the teaching that you're getting, is based on best practices in the industry. You're not going to have this lag time where you have an outdated perspective or outdated skill set. There should be an easy transition between the bachelor's or post-baccalaureate certificate and actually interacting with the industry. I'm going to talk a little bit more about it in a moment, but the credits for prior learning is also a great way to get your experience recognized and to earn credits for it. So that's another way that you can really limit your time in school and get the most value out of it. So for the application process, you're going to start at sopa.tulane.edu. The post-baccalaureate as well as the bachelor's are both considered to be undergraduate level. So you're going to start that undergraduate level application. Since you've attended this webinar session, you will not be responsible for an application fee. What we'll do is we will take the email address that you registered for this event with. We'll upload that into our system. And when you start an application with that same email address, it'll automatically detect and apply that waiver. If for some reason that does not occur, I'll share my contact information at the end where I am able to interact with you guys, and you guys can reach out to me and let me know, and then I can apply that waiver. Otherwise, the only two things that you'll need are an email address that you can access and a clear photo of a government issued ID. So that means driver's license, state identification, passports, whatever it is that shows your full details. Access cards from work, even if it is government work, are not recommended because we want to see things like that the date of birth matches and all those other expected things that can act as an authorization. For your transcripts, we are going to prefer that they're sent digitally or mailed in a sealed envelope from the institution. So we want to ensure that these are final official transcripts. You can use that unofficial transcript to get admission, but you will be blocked out from registering. With the electronic transcripts, you're going to want to send them to SOPA records at tulane.edu or by selecting School of Professional Advancement under the request option. So whoever the receiving school is, just make sure you're not just selecting Tulane University and that you're selecting Tulane SOPA. For those physical transcripts, you're going to send them to our Elmwood campus, which is 800 East Commerce Road, Suite 100 in Harahan, Louisiana, and the zip code is 70123. You still got time to join us for our spring cohort. So January 1st is the deadline, and that means we need to have a complete application packet with all of your transcripts, and then class will start about 2 weeks after that. Summer's deadline is actually May 15th, and then fall is August 15th. So you got a bit of time no matter what situation you're in. I recommend giving yourself a long runway so that you can meet with your advisor, so that you can have the best selection of classes to pick from, and then also so that you're giving yourself time to acclimate. For the cost of attendance, you're looking at $474 per credit hour. So that's going to be for the post-baccalaureate as well as the bachelor's. That price can be affected by tuition discounts that we offer for active duty military, veterans, teachers, and Orleans and Jefferson Parish employees. If you are retired military, you likely qualify for our Yellow Ribbon Scholarship. That offsets the cost of attendance between your GI Bill or educational benefits. So that's a great way to attend a prestigious university for basically zero out-of-pocket cost. And then if you're going to be using grants or loans, we offer the same financial aid assistance as any other school within Tulane. So that means Pell Grants, federal loans, any of that you qualify for, and you can use them within Tulane SOPA. So doubling back on that credits for prior learning from before, I just want to give you guys a little bit of a detail on that, which is this is a way where your military training, your work experience, maybe professional experience that you have through membership organizations, where you can use that as a replacement for credits. So say, here's an example. You were in the military and you worked specifically in a communications team where you had to focus on producing digital content. Or maybe you are someone where you have a background as a teacher or something like that, and you were teaching one of our core classes. Say you were teaching college level English for years, then that's where we would be able to put you in a portfolio class and you would be able to get replacement credits from that. The portfolio class is going to be cheaper than the cost of the amount of credits that you could receive from it, which at the undergraduate level is up to 24 credits. So you can cut your time in school off by a fifth of the time here. And then you can also reduce that cost of attendance. So that's where it's really powerful. And if you're pairing that with Yellow Ribbon Scholarship or any of these tuition discounts, you're getting access to a prestigious degree for a lower cost. So I've run through a lot of content here, and I want to make sure that I cover any of the questions that have been raised so far. So Michelle was saying that after looking at the schedule, she's wondering if a digital graphic design degree could be achieved by taking only night, weekend, or online classes. So as I was saying at the beginning, we are working to make more digital design classes available online, but as of right now, there's only one course that's available online. So over time, these will grow, and we do offer classes for digital design every day of the week, including Saturday. Sunday is the only day where we do not offer digital design classes. So you can complete a digital design degree by taking only night, weekend, and online classes. The online classes are going to be a smaller part of it, but night and weekend, what you see is they will flip from semester to semester. So if a class is offered only at night one semester, it'll be offered during the day the following semester. So your pacing will be impacted by that, but you can absolutely take those courses only nights and weekends. Part of the reason why you're probably not seeing many offered at night or on the weekends is there's only so many digital design classes offered a semester. If you look at the initial listing of courses that I was running through earlier when I was breaking down the tracks, you see there's only about 12 to 15 courses each, and there's overlap between them. So in any given semester, you probably only have about 10 or 12 different digital design classes that are offered. So the ones that are going to be relevant to you should be offered every semester in a physical format. And as we expand to online coursework, that's where you'll see them offered in an online format as well. I recommend taking a look at some of the previous schedules as well as the current schedule for spring 2020. That way you have that historical perspective. And then if you have concerns about actually being able to fulfill that, then that's where you want to talk with me or Dr. Garcia, and we can really see what your circumstance is. We have many students who are completing their coursework without attending during the day, so it's definitely doable. It looks like I don't have any other questions raised so far. All right, so Sonia was saying she won't be graduating from community college until next winter. So what I would recommend is start your application if you're graduating with your AA in fall of 2020. Start that application during that semester. So as soon as the application opens for spring of 2020, I would go ahead, somewhere in that October or September range, go ahead and start the application, submit those transcripts that you have so far. And then the only thing that we would need is that final official transcript once you finish your coursework during the winter. So if fall 2020 is when you finish your coursework, then as soon as the semester wraps, they'll issue that transcript to us and you'll be cleared to register. The only issue there is going to be that you will have a delay between your admission and your ability to register because we'd be waiting for that transcript. And if that is something you're worried about, then that's where you could look at summer. Our summer course offerings tend to be a lot of the same things that are offered during the fall and during the spring. It just may have a different pacing to where maybe it meets more often or for a longer session. All right, one last call for if there's any final questions. Otherwise, I recommend starting that application soon so that you can take advantage of that free application waiver. That way, if you're ordering transcripts or if there's anything else you need to do, you're putting that money towards a better use than the application fee. If you have questions that do pop up after this session, we're going to redistribute this via YouTube and you should get an email with it. And that'll include contact information, ways to really engage with more information about this topic. But I want to share my contact information now before we leave. You can contact me at clloyd3@tulane.edu, or you can give me a call at 504-865-5333. And if you want to contact Dr. Amanda Garcia directly, you can contact her at amandagarcia@tulane.edu. We'd be glad to walk through any topics or questions that you have. Just make sure to start that conversation early so that you give yourself as much time as possible to aid in your evaluation of the courses. Thank you everyone for giving me a little bit of your day. I hope that you get some value out of this, and I hope you take advantage of that application fee waiver. Thank you.